Good morning to students.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning,
Are you
sir.
listening to me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, you see that students yesterday. Yes, Maronika, good morning. Yesterday, students, that we had discussion about that of site of photosynthesis. Okay, little bit just I am remembering you to that of photosynthesis takes place in that of mesophyll cells. Okay, that mesophyll cells are present in the leaves, and in the mesophyll cells that chloroplast are present. In chloroplast there are two structure. One is that of thylakoid, and that in thylakoid membrane that light reaction takes place, and in that of stroma, matrix stroma, that dark reaction takes place. Okay, and so that you see that I had told you that you see that the pins, you see that this is your leaf. Okay, this is your leaf, and in that leaf, what I had told you that there is a, that means there is a mesophyll cells. Okay, this one is a leaf. This one is a leaf, and in that leaf there is a mesophyll cells. And in that mesophyll cells, you see that. Suppose this one is a mesophyll cells. And in that mesophyll cells, that I had told you that in mesophyll cells that is vacuole, and in that vacuole here is that of a chloroplast, and here is that of a nucleus. So that chloroplast, if you have to draw that chloroplast in a, that is mesophyll cells. That is mesophyll cells. Okay, that is mesophyll cell. And in that mesophyll cells, that means you see that this one is chloroplast, this one is chloroplast. And if you have to draw this chloroplast, okay, you have to draw this chloroplast in a large way. That means you see that what you will have to find, these are that of thylakoids. Okay, thylakoids, and the group of thylakoids is called that of grana. This is called that of grana, and this is the thylakoid. Okay, that is the thylakoid. And in this thylakoid, this is the lumen. The inner part is that of lumen. And this is another thylakoid also. That is another thylakoid. Okay, thylakoid. And that means in this thylakoid, you can have to find that of stroma lamellae. Okay, you can have to find that of stroma lamellae, or you can have to make it separate. So that stroma, that is called, and this one is that of matrix stroma. So what is found inside that of chloroplast is that of a matrix. Okay, that is matrix stroma. And this one is that of this one, and this one is called that of this is called that is called stroma lamellae. Okay, this is called stroma lamellae. Okay, stroma lamellae. So that I have told you that in that of thylakoid, that is present of that of chlorophyll. Okay, that chlorophyll are present. Chlorophyll also present in that of a that is stroma lamellae also, that we can have to find that of chlorophyll. So that means here you can see that that is, and but in the matrix stroma there is no such chlorophyll presence. So that in matrix stroma, that is dark reaction takes place. Dark reaction in matrix stroma. And that of grana, or that of thylakoid membrane, in thylakoid membrane, that light reaction takes place. Okay, that light reaction takes place. So that what yesterday I had told you, that in that of leaf, then the leaf of the plant, that mesophyll cells are present. That mesophyll cells are present. That mesophyll cells bears that of chloroplast, and in the chloroplast, the matrix of chloroplast is called stroma. That is matrix stroma. Matrix of chloroplast is called stroma, and and that thylakoids are present. The thylakoids are present in that of aggregations in a aggregate forms that are present. That this is called the grana, and the grana have that of chlorophylls, and that joining of in between of the two grana there is also stromal amyle. Stromal amyle can also have separate forms, and that stromal amyle has also chlorophylls. Into that region, that stromal amyle and that of thylakoid membranes. That means light reaction takes place in that of thylakoid membrane. So you have to know that stromal amyle, that is also that photosystem 1 is present. Where is that of thylakoid membrane? That photosystem 1 and photosystem 2 are present. I will have to discuss later on. And that is so light reaction takes place in thylakoid membrane, and then dark reaction takes place in that of stroma. Okay, that I have yesterday told about it. Now today, students, you know that for that of photosynthesis, that means photosynthesis, that means which pigments are involved in photosynthesis. Today we'll have to know about that. That is pigments involved in photosynthesis. That is very important, and you can have to know about that. There are some pigments that are involved in photosynthesis. You might have known the name of chlorophyll. Okay, chlorophyll, but there are that is chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B, and that is of the carotenoids, xanthophylls. These are the pigments. First of all, you know that what are pigments. Okay, what are pigments? So today we'll have to know about that of pigments. Pigments involved in photosynthesis. Involved in photosynthesis. Okay, today we'll have to know about that. Pigments involved in photosynthesis. First of all, you know that what are pigments? Okay, what are pigments? Generally, you know that pigments are colored substances. You know about that. These are the color. Pigments are color. It is true. To some extent, it is true that pigments are color, but pigments are not actually the color. They are chemical compounds. Okay, what are pigments? Then what are pigments? You'll have to know that pigments are chemical compounds. Are chemical compounds which show the nature of lipid. Which show the nature of lipid. Okay, lipid. So pigments are chemical compounds which show the nature of a lipid. So what are pigments? Earlier you might have known that pigments are colored. But this is true to some extent, but students, that pigments are not colored. Pigments are chemical compounds which show the nature of lipid. So it is lipid-like structure. So it is show the nature of lipid. So to some extent, these are the lipids. Okay, these are the lipids because they are water insoluble. Lipids are, that is, you know that lipids are water insoluble, and these pigments which are found in plants, in higher plants, those pigments are found. These pigments are water insoluble. Going to that region, they are lipids which show the nature of lipid. Okay, then they are, that is, can observe, they can observe light at fixed wavelength. Can observe. Pigments can observe light at fixed wavelength. At fixed wavelength. Okay, they can observe light at fixed wavelength. That is the second point that you have to remember. Can excite electron. Pigments can excite electron. Can excite electrons. Okay, can excite electrons. They can excite electrons. Then they are mostly water insoluble. They are pigments. They are water insoluble. Water insoluble. Okay, they are water insoluble. Pigments which are found in higher plants, they are water insoluble as they are lipid in nature. Okay, so these are that features of pigments. What are the features of the pigments, students? The features of the pigments are They are chemical compounds. Okay, you have to remember that one. They are chemical compounds which show the nature of lipid. That is the most important point you have to remember. What are pigments? Pigments are chemical compound which show the nature of lipid. Second, can observe light at fixed wavelength. If fixed wavelength, pigments which have wavelength of 400 nanometer can also observe the photon, that is light rays of that wavelength. Pigments which have 520 nanometers, they can have to observe the photon of that nanometer. Okay, that is what are the in that of chlorophyll or that of pigments which are present in that of green leaves. They can observe light to a particular wavelength. Those are can observe 450, they can observe only 450, not 500. Okay, so they can observe light at fixed wavelength. Those pigments can observe, those pigments have 450 wavelength, they can observe the light to that extent of 450, not more than that or less than that. Okay, then they can excite electrons. And to produce energy. Okay, that means pigments will absorb the sunlight and will excite the electron by which energy will be produced, and are water insoluble. They are water insoluble. So which pigments are found in, students, now you'll have to know that which pigments are found in photosynthesis in higher plants. You'll have to know that there are 4 pigments mostly found in that of green plants. Okay, first one is that of, students, that is chlorophyll. Chlorophyll A. Okay, then that of chlorophyll B. Then that of, students, carotenoids. That is called carotene. Beta carotene, you know that? That is carotenoids. Then another one is that of xanthophylls. Okay, xanthophylls. These are the 4 major pigments found in that of higher plants. That means chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B, carotenoids, and xanthophylls. Okay, xanthophylls. You have to remember that means that chlorophyll A. Now you'll have to, that means I'll have to ask you that what are the 4 features of pigments. That means pigments are, first point, students, pigments are
chemical compounds which show the nature of lipids.
Yes, very good. They are chemical compound which shows the nature of lipids. Second point, students.
Can absorb light at fixed wavelength.
Yes. Then third point is that
Can excite
Electrons.
electrons.
Very good. Then fourth point is that
Are water insoluble.
they are water insoluble. Okay, they are water insoluble. You see that, and the major, that is 4 major pigments found in green plants is that
Chlorophyll A, carotenoids, xanthophylls.
yes, chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B. Second, third one is carotenes, that is carotenoids. In your NCERT book, it has been written as carotenoids, but if you have to tell it is carotene, it is also true. Okay, and another one is that of xanthophylls. So you'll have to know about that of 4 pigments. You have learned about that of that is characteristics of pigments. You have know about that, and then you know that that is 4 pigments. Now I am discussing about that of color of that of 4 pigments. Okay, color of that of 4 pigments. I am just telling you that about that color of 4 pigments. You see that, friends. You see that in the spectrum of light gives you that of 7 color. Yesterday also I have told you. One is that of a violet. Okay, then second one is violet. After that, indigo. Then third one is
Blue.
Then
Green.
Very good. Green. Then
Yellow.
yellow. Then
Orange.
then
Red.
We'll have to know about that of, you see that, that means this color, dispersion of the color of white light. Okay, white light. So you see that, that means which color will absorb light more? Answer will be white color. White color. Okay, in photosynthesis, you see that, that is white color will absorb more light than that of blue color. Okay, than that of red color in photosynthesis. In photosynthesis, white light, that is white color will absorb more, that is more sun rays than that of blue light. Blue light will absorb more, that is sun rays, than that of red light. So you remember that white light will absorb more sunlight than that of blue light. Blue light will absorb more sunlight than that of red light. That point you have to remember. As you see that, you have to know about that of wavelength. Okay, wavelength of that of wavelength. You see that violet are 400 to 440 nanometer. 400 to 440 nanometer. Okay, the wavelength of violet is 400 to 440 nanometer, whereas in indigo, that is, it is 440 to 460 nanometer. Okay, 460 nanometer. You see that how it is in increasing order. Then in blue light, you can have to get 460 to 500 nanometer. Okay, that is in blue light. In that of a blue light, after that green light, that is 500 to 570 nanometer. 500 to 570 nanometer in green light. Okay, in green light. In yellow light, we'll have to get that of 570 to 590 nanometer. Okay, 570 to 590 nanometer, whereas in orange, that is 592, that is 620 nanometer. Okay, 620 nanometer, and in that of orange, that is red, you can have to 620 to 720 nanometer. In that of red, that is 620 to 720 nanometer. So wavelength of that is vinegar, I have given you violet 400 to 440 nanometer, indigo 440 to 460 nanometer, blue 460 to 500. So it has been that BB violet to that of red, it is in that of decreasing order. Oh, sorry, increasing order. It is in that form of increasing order. It will go from violet to red, it is increasing order. 400 ends at 720. If you will go from red to violet, it is in decreasing order. Okay, so that you have to remember. You see that chlorophyll, the color of chlorophyll is that of blue green. That is color of that of chlorophyll is that of blue green. Blue green, the color of chlorophyll. So it can have to observe 460 to 570 nanometer wavelength of photon. Okay, so that 460 to 570, that is blue green. And if you have to that of chlorophyll B, okay, chlorophyll B can have to green yellow. You see that, that is green yellow. That is chlorophyll B is that of green yellow. Green yellow. So it can have to absorb sunlight to the extent of 500 to that of 500 nanometer. Okay, 500 nanometer. If you have to come to that of carotenoids, you see that it is some extent to that of yellow orange. So carotenoids is that of yellow orange. Okay, yellow orange. That is color is yellow orange, and that means it is, and you know that carotenoids is the precursor of vitamin A. That is precursor of vitamin A. Okay, vitamin A. That is carotenoids. And if you have to come to that of xanthophylls, xanthophylls is yellow in color. That is Yellow, only yellow. Okay, so chlorophyll A is blue-green, 460 to 570 nanometer. Chlorophyll B, green-yellow, 500 to 590 nanometer. If you have to come to that of carotenoids, it is that of carotenoids, that is yellow to orange, that is 570 to 620 nanometer. And xanthophylls, that is yellow in color and is 570 to 500, 590 nanometer. Okay, so these are the colors of that of chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B, carotenoids, and xanthophylls. Okay, xanthophylls. These are the green pigments and these are the colors. Okay, chlorophyll A. Chlorophyll A, which color is that of chlorophyll A, students?
Blue and green.
Blue and green.
Chlorophyll B.
Green and yellow.
Yes, then carotenoids
Yellow and
Yellow
orange.
and orange.
and xanthophylls.
Yellow.
Yellow.
Yellow. Okay, xanthophylls is yellow color. In xanthophyll, you know that in your that means in LK chapter I had told about that picoxanthin. So it is also another, that is picoxanthin. Picoxanthin. Okay, picoxanthin is brown in color. It is brown in color. That is picoxanthin. Okay, that another color is lutein. That is lutein. Okay, lutein. You can have to, that is yellow in color. What maize, that is maize grains. You might have eaten the maize grains. The color of the maize grains is that of luteins. Okay, that is yellow color. That is color of maize. Okay, color of maize is yellow. It is due to that of presence of that of pigments lutein. You have to remember, maize color is yellow. It is owing to that of presence of that of pigment lutein. You must have to remember this one. Okay, and the picoxanthin's color is brown. Okay, and the xanthophylls is that of a yellow color. And all these colors, students, they are water insoluble. They are water insoluble. Can you tell me the two pigments which are water soluble? Have you any idea, students? Can you tell me that of two colors which are water soluble? Have you any idea? You see that is one is anthocyanin, another one is phycobilins. Okay, anthocyanin and phycobilins. Anthocyanins and phycobilins. These are the two pigments which are water soluble. They are water soluble pigments, students. Water soluble pigments. Okay, water soluble pigments are anthocyanin and phycobilins. Okay, anthocyanin is the red blue color. Anthocyanin is the red blue color. Is the red blue color. Okay, it is red blue. Anthocyanin is red blue, whereas phycobilins is blue green. It is blue green. Okay, it is blue green. Blue green. These are that are pigments which are water soluble pigments. Water soluble pigments. But these are the major pigments which are found, which are involved in the process of photosynthesis. But you will surprised to know that only chlorophyll A does the process of photosynthesis. Where are chlorophyll B, carotenoids and xanthophylls, they help in photosynthesis, but they don't carry photosynthesis because reaction center is present in chlorophyll A. Reaction center is absent in chlorophyll B, carotenoid and xanthophylls. So these are called accessory pigment. Okay, and chlorophyll A is called the primary pigment. It is the major pigment. Okay, the most abundant pigment in the world is that of chlorophyll A. That point you have to remember. Okay, that chlorophyll A is that of most abundant plant pigment in the world. It is the most abundant. Okay, it is the most abundant plant pigment in the world. Most abundant abundant plant pigment in the world. Okay, this is chlorophyll A. That chlorophyll A only does photosynthesis. No other pigments never do any photosynthesis. Okay, that's so they are called accessory pigment, students. These three are called accessory pigment. Okay, these three are called accessory pigments. Okay, they help in that of photosynthesis. Okay, they help in photosynthesis. They provide energy to chlorophyll because chlorophyll A has a reaction center and that reaction center can carry out photosynthesis. But carotenoid, chlorophyll B and xanthophylls, they lack reaction center. So they can't do any type of photosystems. Okay, so they can do any type of photosystems. Photosystems only can be carried out in that of chlorophyll A. It is that of primary pigment. So it is known as primary pigment. Okay, this is known as primary pigments. Okay, and it is the most abundant plant pigment in the world, that is chlorophyll A. Okay, students, you have remembered that. Can you tell me that violet color, that is wavelength is?
400 to
400
440.
to 440.
Yes, then indigo,
440 to
440
460.
to 460.
then green,
500 to
500
570
to
nanometer.
500 to 570.
then yellow,
570 to 570 to 590.
590 to 590.
yes, then orange,
590 to
590
620 nanometer.
620.
20 nanometer.
red,
620 to
620 to 720. Very good. You have remembered that one. Which is the most abundant pigment in the world?
chlorophyll A.
Chlorophyll A.
Chlorophyll A is called that of why chlorophyll A only does the process of photosynthesis? Because reaction center is present in chlorophyll A. Okay, reaction center is only present in chlorophyll A. If reaction center is present, it can do obviously the process of photosynthesis, but the accessory pigments lack that is reaction center. If there is no reaction center, how can they will have to carry out the process of photosynthesis? So that is the point. Can you remember now why only chlorophyll A does the process of photosynthesis?
Because chlorophyll A
Because
has the reaction center which
reaction
led
center
to
is
the
present in
photosynthesis.
it can do the process of photosynthesis. Yes. Now, that is named three accessory pigments.
Chlorophyll B, carotenoid,
Carotenoid
xanthophyll.
and xanthophylls.
Xanthophylls. Very good, brilliant. That means why they are not involved in the process of photosynthesis?
Because they
Because
do not contain reaction center.
they lack reaction center. Brilliant, students. Okay, and they are which pigment is called precursor of vitamin A?
Carotenoids.
Carotenoids. Okay, and which pigment is found in the maize grains?
Lutein.
Lutein.
Very good. And what is the color of picoxanthin found in that of brown algae?
Brown.
brown.
That is brown. Very good. Very good. Okay. Now you'll have to know about that of we'll have to know about that of chlorophyll A. That is chemical formula of that of chlorophyll A. Okay, students, that is not important, but little bit you know about that because NCERT has not said about that. You see that chlorophyll A, that is chlorophyll A. Chlorophyll A. Okay, chlorophyll A's chemical formula, you have to know about that. Carbon is 55 in number. Carbon 55 in number. Okay, hydrogen is 72. Oxygen is 5. Okay, oxygen is 5. Then nitrogen is 4. Okay, nitrogen is 4. Okay, magnesium. Magnesiums. That is the chemical formula of that of chlorophyll. C55H72O5N4Mg. So which that is which type of mineral is present in chlorophyll? Answer will be
Magnesium.
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 Magnesium is present in that of chlorophyll. Chlorophyll, both chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B. Chlorophyll C, chlorophyll D also, that will be taught in that of higher classes. That is, if you have to read at the BSc level, but you can have to know about that of chlorophyll C, D. Okay, but that is chlorophyll A, you have to learn it. And in case of that of, okay, in case of that of chlorophyll B, you can have to find out everything is same, students. That is chlorophyll B. Chemical formula is same, only that of two less hydrogens. Okay, that is C55 H70 O5 N4 magnesium. Okay, magnesium. Only difference, students, is that you can find it in that of CH2. That is CH2. Here is that of you can have to find here is that CH2. Here is CHO. Okay, that is here CHO. That is CHO. Here is that of CH2. That is chlorophyll A, but it is not given in your NCERT, so there will be no question in it. Only to some extent to increase your basic standard. I have told it that of chlorophyll A chemical formula is this one, but you have to remember that of magnesium. Magnesium is found in that of chlorophyll. Okay, and in chlorophyll B, both chemical same, but that of less two hydrogen. You see that there is 72 numbers, here is 17 numbers. Okay, only two shortage of hydrogen, that is 70. And but it binds with that CH2, where it binds with that of CHO. That is only basic difference in that of chlorophyll A to that of chlorophyll B. Okay, both are same. Both are same, that of chlorophyll A to that of chlorophyll B. So you can have to remember that one. That is CH2, one is CHO. Okay, that is chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B. And that means I have told you that is what chlorophyll A, the function of that of that I have told you that chlorophyll A is that of most abundant, and that is shows higher rate of photosynthesis. And you see that chlorophyll A, I have told you that of chlorophyll A, that is chlorophyll A, and in that of spectrum, so the light spectrum, the BB, I have yesterday I have showed that is blue color and that of red color. In photosynthesis, blue color and red color, that is blue light and red light can show that of a maximum photosynthesis. Most of it is blue light, then red light. Blue light has maximum and red light is to some extent it is less to that of a blue light. So blue light has maximum photosynthesis than that of a red light. But white light is first, then blue light, then red light. That you have to remember. So chlorophyll A and then chlorophyll B, you have remembered that one. Then we will have to know that means what are the accessory pigments, what are the function. You know that chlorophyll A is the major site of photosynthesis, where photosynthetic process photosystem 1 and photosystem 2 takes place, and it is that of major site of photosynthesis and the most abundant pigment in the world, and a reaction center is present in photosynthesis A. And the photosynthesis B, carotenoids and xanthophylls, they are called that of accessory pigment. Now we'll have to know about that. What are the function of the accessory pigments? Okay, function of accessory pigments you have to know. You see that functions of accessory pigments. Functions of accessory pigments. What are the functions of accessory pigments? They don't do photosynthesis, but what type of function they do? At least you have to know about that. Function of accessory pigment, students, is that means absorb light and transfer the energy to chlorophyll A. They will absorb light They absorb light and transfer energy to chlorophyll A. Okay, you see that these accessory pigments are donors. They are givers. How they are donating energy to that of chlorophyll A, because they are saying that is they can do photosynthesis. Why they will have to obstruct the process of chlorophyll A? So they are what? They are donating. Okay, they are donating. They are donating. They are donating energy wavelength to that of a chlorophyll A. That means chlorophyll A, if they are telling that yes, reaction center is present in your body, so you should have to do that of get energy, you take that energy, do the photosynthesis, and we will have to supply you energy, and we will have to carry out the process of photosynthesis. So absorb light and transfer energy to chlorophyll A. Okay, to chlorophyll A. That is chlorophyll A. The second point, students, is that okay, enable a wider range of wavelength of incoming light to be utilized for photosynthesis. Enable a wider range of wavelength. Okay, enable a wider range of wavelength of incoming. Enable a wider range of wavelength of photosynthesis of wavelength of light. Okay, wavelength of incoming light to be utilized. Of wavelength of light to be utilized in the process of photosynthesis. In the process of photosynthesis. Okay, photosynthesis. What they enable a wider range of wavelength of light. Okay, that means wavelength of different nanometer, 400, 450, 600, 700, like this. They extending. That means they are providing that wavelength to that of chlorophyll. Okay, so enable a wider range of wavelength of light to be utilized in the process of photosynthesis. Okay, then they are protect chlorophyll A from photooxidation, and they protect chlorophyll A from photooxidation. Okay, that means from that of that is photooxidation. That means how chlorophyll A will be protected from that of photooxidations, from that of effect of that of light, from that of oxygen reaction. You know that is a water split and then oxygen evolves. So that means that food and magnesium is present there, so that can be oxidized in form into some extent. So it will protect chlorophyll A from photooxidation. So function of accessory pigments, what I told that absorb light and transfer to chlorophyll A. Okay, that is the first point. Second point, enable a wider range of wavelength of light to be utilized in the process of that is photosynthesis. Then protect chlorophyll A from photooxidation. These are the three important functions of the accessory pigments of that of chlorophyll B, carotenoids, and xanthophylls. Okay, that you have to remember. Okay, these are the function of accessory pigments. Now, students, you see that. Now you see that. Suppose you will have to. Now you have to know that how such pigments function. Okay, how such pigments function. It is very important that you mark it. How such pigment students function. Okay, this is very important one. You must have to mind it. How pigments functions. Okay, how pigments function. So you see that how pigments function. You have to know about that of how pigments function. You see that. That means suppose I have. You see that here is a chlorophyll. Okay, here is a chlorophyll. I have drawn it. Here is a chlorophyll. Okay, you see that The sunlight is here. Okay, this is the sun, and that photon, that means here is that of energy coming to it. Okay, that sun rays coming it in. You see that. Suppose it is to some extent of that of 500 nanometer. You see that it is 500 nanometer. That chlorophyll must have wavelength of that of 500 nanometer. That is photon. That is, you see that. That means it is that of light rays of that of 500 nanometer is coming, and it will have to. That means wavelength of chlorophyll of 500 nanometer. That means you see that. That means this chlorophyll has 500 wavelength. That is nanometer wavelength. That means it will accept only 500 nanometer of light rays coming from that of sun. Okay, you see that sun rays of the different. I have told you that different color of light. It will have to accept that of because it is wavelength is 500. So it will accept that 500 nanometer wavelength. If it is wavelength is 400, it can't accept that of nanometer of that of 500. Okay, the same nanometer wavelength can accept that of that is photon, that is electric rays, that is light rays of the sun. Okay, you see that. Here what will happen? That means here electrons will be excited. Here electrons will be excited in that photon. Electrons will be excited when sun rays falls on that of chlorophyll. Then that means it is being energized, and that electrons comes. Okay, you see that. That electrons comes, so that electron excited from here. You see that electrons excited. Okay, that electron excited. You see that from that of 500 nanometer wavelength of that is light rays fall on that of chlorophyll. It has also 500 nanometer wavelength. So it accepted that light on the acceptation. That means this energy. That means it is converted into that of energy. So that electron excited. When electron is excited, then energy will produce. It will have to produce energy. Okay, so that will produce that of energy. So that of energy is released. So what will have to get? That is release of energy. It will have to release energy. It will release energy. Okay, that means when electron is excited, it will have to produce release energy, and that electron excited. That is also that sometimes also that electron excited return to its original place. It also release return to its original place. After that is electron excited, that electrons also return to that of original place. But in that time, it is release the energy, and that energy, you see that. That means electron excited. That means what amount of energy produced, when it will return to that of same ground. That means same energy will not come, because some energy been spent. Okay, has been spent, so that such release energy is of less amount. What electron excited, that when it comes to the ground, that means energy release is to some extent be less. It will be less energy, not a decrease amount of energy. It is that of a decreased amount of energy. That is a decreased amount. Okay, that is a decreased amount of energy, and that energy is a decreased amount, and that energy will have to give you what? That will have to give you heat, light, and the light. That decreased amount of energy will be utilized in that of light, in that of energy. Okay, it will have to utilize in that of heat. Okay, it will have to produce to that of light. Okay, and it will have to that of some extent that of and taken by, and that it has that means this decreased amount of energy will be utilized in heat. That decreased amount of energy also utilized in light, and all that decrease. That means there are options that can be utilized in heat, or that can be utilized in that of light, or that can be utilized also. that means that also be given to another pigments. So that will be taken by can be taken by another pigment. Okay, another pigment. So that energy can be transferred to that of another pigment also. That means here you can read about that of heat and light. What amount of heat, what about the heat and light of that of decreased amount of energy, you don't have to remember, because don't have to discuss now, because it is not necessary for your part. It is part that that means you see that here is a what? It is a that is a pigment. That pigment, when light falls on that pigment, that means electron excited. That electrons when returns to its original position, that means it is release energy. That energy is of the decreased amount because some energy has been spent, and that decreased amount will be utilized in that of heat or light, or that can be taken or can be donated to other pigment. That can be given to that of other pigment. Okay, that can be taken by the other pigment, and so that you see that I'm just telling about it, that you see that what happens. You see that here is I'm just drawing. Here you see that there is a one pigment. Here you see that this is that of another pigment. Here you see that this is the one more pigment. I have drawn with the pigment to A, B, C. Okay, I am giving you to that of a nanometer also. 500, 520. You see that this is 500 nanometer. This is 520 nanometer. This is 480 nanometer. Okay, when some rays of that of 500 nanometer comes, it will fall on that of on this A, that is, you see that this is the A pigment, this is the B pigment, this is the C pigment. Okay, chlorophyll I am not that is mentioning, I am mentioning A, B, C. Okay, I am mentioning here A, B, C. Okay, that you see, you mark it that 500 nanometer, that light ray, that is light ray, solar light will have to fall on that of this is, it will accept it or B or C. Which one will accept? Which green pigment will accept that of 500 nanometer wavelength?
Sir, first one.
A, because A has that of 500 nanometer. So you see that what will happen, that means this chlorophyll, that means this pigment will donate to its higher wavelength, not to its lesser wavelength. Okay, it will donate energy to that of 520, not to that of 480. Okay, you remember that always a pigment donates energy to the pigment of higher wavelength. Okay, a pigment donates its energy to that of higher pigments, not that of less pigments. Okay, that means it will have to donate energy to 520, not to that of, it will not never donate to that of 480. So a pigment donates energy to the pigments having higher wavelength. That concept should be clear. Okay, that concept is very important, students. That you see that when that is sun rays falls on that of pigments, then it is excited and the electrons excited, so energy release. That energy will be decreased amount because that electrons will return to its original place. And when that energy decrease amount of energy, because some energy has been spent, so that decreased amount of energy will be utilized either in heat or light, or that be taken or can be donated to another pigment. That can be taken by another pigment. But which pigment will take it? The pigment of higher wavelengths. It is 500 nanometer means the pigment which will take more than that of 500 nanometer. It will be 520 nanometer, it will be 550 nanometer, or up to that extent, higher wavelengths. So that 500 nanometer pigments will donate its energy to that of pigments of higher wavelength. That is the most important concept, students. You must have to remember. So whatever I have said, that 500 nanometer, that is sun rays forms will accept by that of chlorophyll A because it has 500 nanometer wavelength, and that 500 nanometer wavelength will donate its energy to that of 520 nanometer because it has more wavelength. That is, you see that wavelength is that of more comparable to that of previous one. So 500 will donate to 520 nanometer pigment, not to that of 480 nanometer. And I am drawing also another one, students. You can have to know it. Okay, so that you can have to know it well. I am drawing that. You see that I am drawing, and you also draw with me. You can have to understand in better way how that of that is reaction center form. You see that. Suppose this is one. I am drawing that of pigments. Okay, I am drawing some pigments here. I am drawing some pigments. Okay, and you see that this is 400. That is 400. That is 420. That is 460. That is 480. Okay, that is 500. That is 520. Okay, and this one is that of 540. Okay, this one is that of 530. Okay, and this one is that of 600. This one is that of 620. This one is that of 640. This one is that of 660. Okay, and this one is that of 720. And you see that I'm just showing. You see that that means 400 wavelength. That is sun rays fall on that of it will fall. Suppose this is 400 nanometer. That means it will. That means which pigment will capture it? These are the pigments. Okay, these are the pigments. All are pigments. I'm just showing you that you understand it. It's very important. Okay. You see that, students, it is 400 nanometer light. Okay, that is 400 nanometer. It will be accepted by this pigment. This pigment will accept it, and this pigment will donate to whom? That is 400. That is 400 wavelength is 400 nanometer. This
420, sir.
pigment will donate to
420.
420. Very good. That means this one will be donate to 420. That 420 will donate to 460. 460. 460 will donate to 480. That 480 will donate to 500. Okay. 500 will donate to that 520. 520 will donate to 530. 530 will donate to 540. 540 will donate to 600. 600 wavelength will donate to 620. 620 will donate to 640. 640 will donate to 660. Then 660 will donate to 720. Okay, you see that, students. That means lastly, which one is taking all this energy? That is this one. So this one is called that of chlorophyll A. Okay, this is the reaction center. Okay, this is the reaction center. And reaction center always be chlorophyll A. So this one is chlorophyll A. Okay, chlorophyll A. Chlorophyll A. And what you are seeing here, different pigments. They may be chlorophyll B, carotenoids, or xanthophylls. They are accessory pigments. And these are called, in our NCERT, it has been told that these are called antenna. Okay, these are called antenna. Okay, these are called antenna, or that of a light harvesting. It has also told that light harvesting complex. Antenna is also known as light harvesting complex. Okay, complex. You have to know about that. You see that 400 nanometer light that means observed by that of this chlorophyll having wavelength 400. This 400 one will have to donate to 420 wavelength. 420 will donate to 460. 460 will donate to 480. 480 will donate to 500. 500 to 520 like this. And lastly, the 60 that is wavelength will have to donate to that of 720. So that 720 is the reaction center. And the reaction center always be chlorophyll A, not be chlorophyll B or carotenoid or xanthophyll. It is the important concept, students. And those are the accessory pigment which provide energy, that is wavelengths, to that of reaction center. They are called antenna. They are called antenna. Antenna, otherwise known as light harvesting complex. I see that antenna on the TV. That means it will have to capture that of that is what? That is wavelengths. Wavelengths. That means like this. These are called that of antenna. These accessory pigments are called antenna. They are otherwise known as light harvesting complex. And what they will have to donate? That means that the lower wavelength will donate to higher wavelength. Lower to higher, like this way. And 660 wavelengths will have to donate to 720. Like this, 720 will have to receive all the energy which have been donated one after another. So that this is the antenna and that is the light harvesting complex. That is most important. And that light harvesting complex, students, is that of highest wavelength with the lowest energy. That reaction center has highest wavelength. This is the highest wavelength with lowest energy. Okay, lowest energy. So reaction center is always chlorophyll A. Reaction center possesses highest wavelength, and that is reaction center always possesses that is lowest energy. And that means reaction center always be chlorophyll A. And enzymes are, that is some enzymes are attached to that of reaction center. So enzymatic process are also carried out. So the chemical reactions also carried out in that of reaction center. So reaction centers have enzymes. Okay, reaction centers have enzymes. Enzymes, and then they can carry out that of different chemical reactions. Okay, that is photolysis of water. In that of splitting of water, one function is that of splitting of water. That is splitting of water. That splitting of water, students, also, and that is a process carried out by that of enzyme. So that is splitting of water, where that is oxygen will come out from that of water. Okay, so that is the reaction center, and this is that of light harvesting complex. You see that this one is that of light harvesting complex, and that one pigments attached to that of another pigments by a type of protein. Okay, type of protein. A type of protein which binds the membrane of two pigments. One pigments join with that of another pigments by a special type of protein. So all the pigments are attached to each other. Okay, attached to each other, by which they are providing energy to it is higher wavelength. Okay, this is that of what? That is about that of antenna, about that of the light harvesting complex. Okay, so reaction center, here only reaction center where photosynthesis takes place. Photosynthesis only takes place in that of a reaction center, and a reaction center may have 700 nanometer or that of 680 nanometer. Okay, that reaction center, you see that reaction center may have, okay, that reaction center may have 680 nanometer or that of 700 nanometer. Okay, that of 680 nanometer, 680 nanometer, or that of P70 nanometer, P70. That is, see that is photosystem 1. That is photosystem 1 is called that of P700. that is P68 is called that of photosystem 2. This why it is called photosystem 1, because it was for the first time it was being that means it was first time for the first time it was found that a photosystem P700, so it is known as photosystem 1, and it was discovered later, so it was called that a photosystem 2. So photosystem 1 is P700 and photosystem 2 is that is P68. Okay, 680 P680, that is photosystem 2. And the next times I'll have to discuss about that of photosystem 1, photosystem 2, and that of I will also discuss about that of light reaction. Okay, light reaction, how light reaction takes place, and what are the products coming out from that of light reaction. Okay, students. So just I will have to ask you 2 questions, student. You will have to answer that questions. Okay. So you see that I'm just telling you that questions and you will have to answer it. The first question, students, is that during which phases of cycle? Okay, that questions you also write down simultaneously with me so that you can have to write the same way. And that I am just calling you the question, during which phases of cell cycle? Okay, question is during which phase of cell cycle? During which phase of or phases of cell cycle? Very carefully you have to know. Cell cycle, amount of DNA in a cell, amount of DNA in a cell. Okay, amount of DNA in a cell, in a shell, amount DNA in a cell remains at 4C level. Remains at 4C level. Okay, remains at 4C level of the initial amount denoted 2C. Okay, 2C. During which phase or phases of cell cycle, amount of DNA cell remains at 4C level of the initial amount denoted 2C. Okay, 2C remains at 4C level of the initial amount denoted 2C. Very important question, students. You mindfully you have to answer. Okay, that is G0. Okay, G0 and G1 phase. Okay, then G1 and S phase. Okay, G2 phase. D students, G2 and G1 phase. Have you idea, students? Can you answer this question? Yes, Adyasa Dubey, she. Brilliant answer. Mona Lisa, wrong answer. Wrong answer, Mona Lisa. Sanbi, right answer, Sanbi. Smaranika, right answer. Anamika, also right answer. Beula, right answer. Beula, also right answer. Okay. Abhinas, also right answer. Abhinas. Bhagvat Embram, right answer. Okay. Sudhanshu Das, right answer. Brilliant answer. Students, you see that I am just explaining the question that during which phases of cell cycle amount of DNA in a cell remains at 4C level of the initial amount denoted 2C. Devishri Barajunaik also right answer. You see that in that I have already drawn and told you that this is the M phase, this is G1 phase, that is the S phase, this is G2 phase. Okay, but you see that in that of G1, that is 2N, that is the initial stage, G1 2N, and in that of synthesis phase, 2N will be what? 2N will be 4N, but at the end of the phase, so it will be at 4-2 stage, it will be at that is 4N, that is 4C. It has taken as 4C, so we take that of C. That is C. Okay, 4C at G2. And in that M level, it will be have to divide it 2C, 2C. Okay, so that during which phase of cell cycle amount of DNA cell remains at 4C level, that is at G2. Okay, that is at G2 level. In G1 it will be 2C. In S level 2C will be transformed into 4C, but at the end of the process. And at the G2 level it will be at 4C. And M level it will also divide it 2C, 2C. So right answer, all students have right answer, but Mona Lisa Rautray, you have not understood properly what is that, what is wrong going on with you. Okay, very careful about it, Mona Lisa, not answering well. Okay, that Adasa Dubey, that I am very thankful to you, all the students also who have given that Adasa Dubey promptly answer today, so that other students also who have given the right answer, I am thankful to you. Okay, you understand that concept. Then come to that next question, students. At metaphase, next question, students, that is question number 2. Okay, that is question number 2. At metaphase, chromosomes are attached to spindle fibers. Okay, question number, at metaphase, chromosomes are attached to spindle fibers. Okay, attached to spindle fiber by their. Okay, I am giving you 4 options, students. You have to answer the right one. That is satellite. Okay, then B. That is satellite. Then I am writing that of satellite. Then that is of just 1 minute, students. That is centromere. That is centromere. Okay, that is centromere, and that is C, constriction. Constrictor, that is constrictor, and then kinetochore. Okay, which one is that of right answer, students? Yes, Sanbi right, Mona Lisa also right. Thank you, Mona Lisa. This time you have given the right answer. Adhyasa Dubey right, Sudhanshu Das no, wrong answer, Abhinas wrong, Smaranika right answer. Okay, Smaranika also right answer, Anamika also right answer. Okay, that right answer is kinetochore, students. That is kinetochore. Okay, kinetochore. You see that I have drawn that. I am drawing again. You see that this is a chromosomes. Here is a one kinetochore, is another kinetochore. So that of spindle fiber from that of one pole, another pole, it will have to join with that of kinetochore. So answer will be kinetochore. So at metaphase, chromosomes are attached to spindle fibers by their kinetochores. Okay. Then come to that of next question. Spindle fibers and astral rays. Next question, students. Spindle fibers and spindle fiber and astral rays. Question number 3. Spindle fibers and astral rays. Okay. Found during the cell division. During the process of cell division are made up of. Okay, students, very carefully you have to answer all the questions. Cyclin, okay, cyclin B. Then cyclin, then tubulin, then C, myoglobin, okay, and D is that of globulin. Okay, globulin. Which one is the right answer, students? Which one is the right answer? Yes, Sanbe, tubulins, right answer. Brilliant. Adhyasa Dubey, no wrong. Adyasa Dubey, this time is wrong answer. That Sandhi has said the right answer. Satyaprakash also right answer. Okay, Satyaprakash also right answer. Another Smaranika Patra right answer. Okay, Smaranika also right answer. Students, I had told you that spindle on that day I had told you spindle fiber and astral rays. They are made up of that of a tubulin protein. Okay, they are made up of that of a tubulin proteins. So that of a spindle fiber and astral rays are found during the process of cell division are made up of tubulin protein. You must have to remember that one, tubulin protein. Okay, then come to that of next question. Next question, come to that of question number 4, students. Okay, come to that of question number 4. The number of mitotic cell divisions. Question number 4, very important. The number of mitotic cell division. Mitotic cell divisions. The number of mitotic cell divisions required to produce 256 cells. Okay, required to produce 256 cells from single cell. From a single cell would be, okay,